big secret. You measure your business in leaders. Distributors, they come, they go, they pay off a credit card, they kind of retire for 10 months, come back, buy a bottle. Distributors come and go like sand on the beach. You measure your business by the number of leaders in your group. Leaders are everything because leaders will be working all the time. If all the distributors quit, the leaders will build a new group, won't they? So the question is, who do you have that's a leader in your group? And how do you know if they're a leader or not? Let me give you some criteria. Leaders are happy when you leave town. They're happy because they can be in charge of the meeting. They can do it, they can be organized, they can take care of it. So if you have somebody that says, it's okay for you to go out of the city, they're kind of on their way to leadership, aren't they? But if they say, oh no, you have to do all the meetings, that's not going to work very well. So remember, leaders want to be in charge. And they usually try to want to make their own decisions. So it's not for us to tell them what to do, it's for us to develop them to be better. So the question is, how many leaders do you need? And there's a saying that if you have one leader on your team, you're going to make a lot of money. 2 leaders, you're going to be rich. 3, 4, or 5 leaders, you're probably miscounted. You're going to have to be lucky to have that many leaders because there's leaders handle problems. If there's a problem, you never hear about it. Leaders are on their own. They are not dependent on you. Now, how many people here would like to have some leaders in your group? All right, so you say, all right, I want to be a leader in your group. I said, well, that sounds great, but how do you know if they're going to be a leader? How do you know if they're going to learn how? When you and I start this business, how much do we know about this business? 0, right? Did y'all start the same way, knowing 0? I didn't even know that network marketing exists. I didn't even know what MLM stood for. I had no idea. Now, if I stay that way, will I ever become a leader? No. So I'm going to have to learn something. Is that true? I'm going to have to maybe learn how to have a better attitude, maybe more motivation, and what's the last thing? Skills. Here is what amazes me. If our job is to build leaders that have all 3 things, who has to build themselves first? We do. And you run across distributors, they have a good attitude, I'm motivated, but no, I don't think I'll come to your Saturday training and learn the skills. I don't think I'll do that. You don't really have a leader, do you? Now, let me show you why you want to be a leader. First of all, how many people here in this auditorium today would desperately want to be a leader? Now, as a leader, there's some responsibilities. Is that true? Yes. But let's talk about the benefits. The benefits are you're your own boss. You wake up when you're tired of sleeping. You can sell your alarm clock to your neighbor. And if you happen to wake up early, you can sit outside your front door and wave goodbye to all your neighbors going to work. And when they're at work all day, it's easy to go shopping because there's plenty of places to park. And when the traffic gets bad at night, you're already done shopping. You just go to your favorite restaurant and relax. And all you have to do is learn the skills of talking to people in a correct way, so you can do it in seconds or a minute or 2, and you're done. So our job is to get people involved, talk to them in the correct way, and the company's in charge of the training. Think about it. They've already created maybe like a flip chart or a PowerPoint or a website or information. We could read it to them, they could read it on their own. Our job is to talk to people correctly so they see the vision of what we're doing. So if you desperately want to be a leader, it's a pretty good lifestyle, isn't it? Of course, you'll miss the boss and your fellow employees at work. But you can get over that, right? But you will never get there until you learn the skills of doing it, or else you'll get there one time and it'll disappear and you don't know how to rebuild it. So should we start learning the skills? Yes. Now, I don't know how serious you are about the business, but let me give you the first thing about the leadership skill that is really going to make a difference. When you and I start, we don't know how to do almost any of this. Is that true? Yes. Will there be problems? Yeah. And we don't even know how to solve them. So if you're sitting here right now and you're new, you say, I don't know how to be a leader. I don't know anything, and I have all these problems coming up. That's just normal. That's totally normal. But what we need to do is be in the business long enough to learn the skills to fix it. And the only way we're going to stay in the business that long is to have something that's called a vision. Now let me explain a vision. A vision is where you see where you want to be. You may not know how to get there. You may not even have the skills to get there, but you see where you want to be. You say, I'm going to find the skills. I'm going to fix the problems, or go around the problems, or over the problems, or I'll do something to get where I want to be. So the question is, how many people here have a vision about your business, where you'd like to be? And if your vision is strong enough, you will crawl across broken glass to have more motivation if you need it, or to learn skills. But you have to have the vision first, or else anything else will be more important. So if y'all have a pencil and paper, I'd like you to write down 2 sentences that is the first leadership lesson that you might want to implement. The first sentence goes like this. When people have a vision, nothing gets in their way. You think when Dr. Ed started this company, he knew everything about network marketing and how to do business in Nigeria? He didn't know. But he had a vision. Is that true? Yes. So when people have a vision, nothing gets in their way. Here's the second sentence, though. When people don't have a vision, everything gets in their way. And the people that are not here today that waited too long to get their tickets, everything got in their way, didn't it? Well, I'm not paid till the next Friday, and I should check if I'm going to be free, or I don't know. Everything will get in their way. So when people have a vision, nothing gets in their way. When people don't have a vision, everything gets in the way. So which means if you're downline and your potential leaders don't have a vision, you ain't got a business. So our job is to give them a vision because they don't even know how to do it. Would you like an example of what a vision can do? So there's this lady in this tiny island in the Caribbean. And this was several years ago. She had a vision. She's 9 months pregnant. She decided to sell water filters on this tiny island. Now the average income of the people on this tiny island was about, 4,000 pesos. But that covered their food, their shelter, their clothing. How many people see a problem? The water filters she sold cost 4,000. How many people see a bigger problem? No credit cards, no bank accounts. But she said, I want a better life for my children. I want a home. I want to eventually have a car, send my children to private school. She had a strong vision. And she would sit in the back of a little motorbike and go around to try to sell these water filters. Water filters cost 4,000 pesos. Total income of an average family is 4,000. Are we all clear that there's a huge problem here?
Yes.
But if people have a vision, they'll figure it out. And she did. She became the #1 salesman, not on that island, but of all of North America, even the United States. The #1 salesperson for water filters, because she had a vision. Would you like to know how she did it?
Yes.
She said, well, people here need clean water, but they don't have it, so I'll go to a neighborhood. I'll have to find a poor neighborhood. Well, they're all poor in her area. So if you go to the neighborhood and get 10 families, each would give about 400 pesos. They'll put 400 pesos in, and the 10 families would get one water filter, put it in somebody's home. And all month long, they'd go over with their pots and pans and get fresh drinking water. And then the next month, they all put in 400 pesos. They got a second water filter for the neighborhood, a third, and a fourth. And she went to community after community, neighborhood after neighborhood, and became the #1 salesman. Now, let me tell you about the folks in the United States who are going, how does she do this? It's so hard. People tell us they want to think it over. And we have lots of money, but she became #1 because she had a vision. So if you have a vision, nothing will get in your way. Would you like another example? Yes. How many people here have some problems in your business? People want to think it over, they don't have any money, they want to spend their money on something else, they don't think it's skeptical, it's a problem. They don't have any time. Do you all have some problems? Yes. I'm going to ask you a question. You think you can solve all the problems? President can't even solve all the problems. They have a big budget, right? The Pope can't even solve all the problems. Lots of staff. The problem is, if you're going to try to solve problems, you'll always have more problems. But if people have a vision, the problems don't matter. So if you want to spend the rest of your life walking in front of your distributor, don't frown at them, don't say no, they'll be upset and quit. Please have a lot of money when they come visit. You can't do that. You have to tell the distributor you're going to have some problems, and you're going to have to give them a strong enough vision where problems won't make a difference. Let me give you an example of a vision. My wife likes to shop. That's her vision. So every morning she hops into her car and we has to lock the gates and all this. That's kind of a hassle, kind of a problem. Get the car out on the street, and she finally gets it out, and then she goes there, and right away there's like miserable traffic. And after a little bit of traffic, she comes to a school where she has to slow down to like 15 kilometers an hour. That's a problem for her to drive slow, so that's a huge problem. And then there's some stoplights. That's another problem. And after that, there's some speed bumps. That's another problem. And finally, there's this huge, busy freeway, which is difficult to get on and difficult to get off. And every morning when the mall opens, she's there. Because she has a vision. Now, every morning at 9:45, she leaves the house to go shopping. And every day at 10 o'clock, she's there when the mall opens. Ready?
Good.
But she hasn't solved a single problem. She hasn't taken off the gates of the house. She hasn't fixed a busy street. She didn't tell the school to close. She didn't take out a gun and shoot out the stoplights. She didn't pave over the speed bumps. She didn't get on the radio and say, everybody stay off the busy road. She didn't fix a single problem, but yet every morning she's at the mall. Now that's a vision. So if you had a vision where you want to be in this business that was so strong, you wouldn't have to fix a single problem and you'd still get there. Is that true? Yes. So the question is, how many people here have a vision? Would you like to know how to do it?
Yes.
Now, when you leave here today, you're going to have some distributors. These distributors know nothing. I'm going to encourage you to learn the 25 basic skills of our business so you can teach them so you have a business. If you're just going to sponsor people who are going to drop out, that's not the way to go, is it? You want to sponsor people, give them the skills so they have instant success, and then you don't even have to motivate them because they're happy. So most times it's not a motivation problem, it's a training problem. Here's what happens to your distributors. I'm excited. I go out and talk to some people. I said these words, they all told me no. Oh, that's kind of a bad deal. So I say the words again, they tell me no. Well, that's even worse. And they stop saying these words to people because the people say no. They say, okay, all right, those aren't the right words. But I don't have any new words to say because my sponsor refused to learn the skills of teaching me the correct words to say. And so it's not a motivation problem, it's a training problem why they stop. How many people here have had somebody that stopped? They would continue, they're still motivated, they're just waiting for the right words that will work when they go talk to people. So we have this obligation to help them out. We're the leaders here, and we can give them a vision right away that will keep them in long enough so they can start learning the correct words in the 25 basic skills. So here's how you give people a vision. There's lots of ways. Let me show you one way that's really cool. Do y'all have a pencil and paper?
Yes.
If you can, take a blank sheet of paper, and I'll show you a little trick in the subconscious mind that will give people a vision so strong right away that you can keep them in for a long, long time, even with no success, until they learn the skills. Are you ready?
Yes.
My son-in-law taught me this about 18 years ago. He said, let me show you how to get people to give a vision. Now I'm thinking, well, that might be interesting since that's our job. Let me tell you the wrong way to do it first. If you ask people to write down their goals, how many people here ever asked somebody to write down their goals and they didn't really write them down? They say, I need to think it over. Have you ever had that happen? When you ask people to write down their goals, that's maybe not the wrong way, it's just not an efficient way. Because what happens in the back of their mind is they get ready to write down the first goal. I want a brand new car. And the back of the mind says, oh, wait a minute. Before you write that down, let's review. When you're 1 year old, you tried to walk, you fell down a lot, and your brothers and sisters made fun of you. When you're 4 years old, you spilled your milk, your mother yelled at you. In grade school, they pointed out your spelling mistakes. And in high school, you weren't invited to the party and your friends teased you. And now your boss doesn't like you, your family doesn't respect you, you don't make very much money, you can never possibly afford a car. Let me just add up the votes. You're like 4,115,231 votes, you're a full-time loser. And one vote by this stranger saying you can have a car. I don't think so. So here's what happened. They write down, I need to think it over. And to ask people to write goals, it's so hard for them to write down one goal. Very hard. Because the back of their mind works against them. But you can trick the back of the mind. And here's a little trick. You just say the right sequence of words. And at the top of your page, I'm going to ask you to write something. Now, if you were to make, 100,000 pesos a month, how many people do think that'd be pretty good? How about 200,000? All right. So, what position would you have to be in your company to earn 200,000? What would that be called? Superstar Trek Director, Commander of the Universe? A what? A global ambassador. All right. So if you're a global ambassador, you might make about 200,000 pesos a month. So at the top of your page, just write this one statement. 25 things I am going to do after I become a global ambassador. 25 things I'm going to do after I become a global ambassador. Underline the word after, and then circle it. Have you all done that? Now here's what happens to the back of the mind. The back of the mind says, well, of course if you had like 200,000 pesos a month, you're a global ambassador, of course you can do a lot of these things. And now the back of the mind works for you instead of against you. And all the ideas come rushing out. When I heard this, I said, that's genius. I'm just going to run out and tell my downline to do it. Oh, wait. I'll go to my downline and say, well, you need to write down 25 things you're going to do after you become a global ambassador. And my downline would maybe say this to me. They say, well, that sounds like a great idea. Big Al, can I look at your list first to kind of get some ideas? And I said, well, yeah, it's not for me to do, only you. That wouldn't work, right? So who would have to make their list first? Me. And I realized that before I asked anybody to do it, I'd have to have my list. And I typed up my list, and I put it on the internet. Now, this is back when the internet first started. And I put it up on the internet of 25 things I'm going to do. And I had things there like getting a bigger computer, or get somebody with a leaf blower to clean out my office, and things, places I was going to travel. After 2 days, I had 26 people in my downline, potential leaders, put their list up on the internet. After 4 days, we had like 56 people, and it started to grow. And people were creating a vision in their mind of why they were doing the business. And the vision was so vivid, it helped them overcome these problems. I know there's a problem, but these 25 things is what I want to do in my life. So, I'm going to take you through the exercise so you can do it with your downline. Are you all ready? We're going to do this for real. We'll cut it short, but we're going to do it for real. What I'm going to ask you to do is, as fast as you possibly can, is write down 25 things you're going to do after you become a global ambassador. Did you start writing? And I'll give you some ideas of what other people have written down. Some have written down to get a new car, or move from an apartment to buy a new home, or to get all brand new furniture for the home, or go to school and learn a foreign language, fly to Italy to see a fashion show and buy something, to get great football tickets at all the major stadiums in the Philippines and sit and watch the football games, to get a limousine and take all my girlfriends shopping one weekend. Or go back to where I used to work, invite all the fellow employees to lunch, and buy lunch for them and say, see, I told you so. Maybe it's to travel to Paris or travel to the United States. Or to buy a condominium for your mother-in-law, far, far away. Maybe it's to retire your husband or your wife. Send your children to private school. Start an exercise program and hire a personal trainer to do all the work for you. To hire somebody to do the landscaping around your new home. To buy a second home someplace where it's quiet, where there's no traffic. To support some charitable cause. To take one weekend every month, make it 4 days long, to do something as a family event. Write fast, as fast as you can. Maybe to go to the next conference in Dubai. At least 10 things. Right? Maybe on your list to hire somebody to write my 25 for me. But not things to do now, but things after you become a global ambassador. Get a brand new wardrobe. To take the family on a luxury cruise. To organize a giant family reunion and pay for everybody to come. Does Does anybody have 20 on their list? Wow, take quite a few. Anybody have 25 already? Excellent. Here's what I want you to notice as you're writing this, is the goals come out a lot easier if the back of your mind says, I'll only do it after I become a global ambassador. How many people here notice that the ideas come out quicker? Now, we don't have much time here today, so we're going to just do a short version of this, but I'm assuming you've all written down quite a few. If you look at your list, it tells you something about your values. It's kind of like a peek inside of your soul. So normally I would invite somebody up here and they'd read their 25, and you would know more about this stranger and the 25 things they want to do. You'd know more about this person than even their closest friends, because you're peeking right inside their soul of their values and what they want. And these are the things that get them excited about the business. How many people here think it'd be pretty cool to have your list? Now, if you go home tonight, if you have a computer, type up your list, make it the full 25, and make some copies. Now, where would you put the copies? Maybe on a bathroom mirror. But here's a cool place to put a copy of your list of 25, on your refrigerator. Because you're there all the time. But it's also a recruiting tool, and here's why. Your neighbor comes over, and you go to the toilet or something. While you're there, the neighbor's looking around your house. And they see this list of 25 things you're going to do after you become a global ambassador. And they read the list and say, now I know why they're doing that silly business, because they want these things. And it makes sense to them, and they might even say, you know what, I would like to have a better life too. And it's almost like a recruiting tool. So will y'all put one on your refrigerator? You might want to carry some with you, so when you meet your distributors and they say, well, I don't know if I should do one, says, look at mine. And they'll be motivated to follow your lead, because you're a leader. And remember, you cannot possibly ask them to do one unless you have done yours first. You have to set the example. You have to be the leader. You can almost build a culture in your downline of people carrying their list around of why. And this is the only thing that's really going to help them stay in the business, because in the beginning they don't know who to talk to, they don't know how to talk to them, they haven't learned any skills yet, they don't know much about the company. You have to have something which is a vision of where they want to be. Now some are going to say, well, I can't believe I'd ever get there. I say, I know you can't believe it, but if you got there after you started making this kind of money, what would you do? And they can still write down the list. Now we're going to do a little experiment here. I want to show you how easy it is to peek inside of somebody's soul if you just had their list. And if you can convince your downline to make this list and carry with them, and you had a copy of it, oh, you could do wonders in building your team. So y'all ready to do a little experiment? I'm going to ask you to grab your partner, and what's going to happen is you're going to read your list of 25 things, or maybe you have 8 or 18, whatever you have so far is good enough. And when you're done, they're going to read their list to you. Now we're only going to take 1 minute for it, so just read the list quick, and then I'll ask you some questions about the list. Are y'all ready? Turn to your partner and read your list.